And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. It was very good. It was very good. And behold...
Hey!
Hello!
7
Welcome
days
back.
Listeners, welcome back. We have a good one today, Shush.
Oh, you bet we do.
Oh,
I'm
maybe
so
the best.
Excited.
Maybe the
It is.
best.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, I think potentially could be. We'll have to wait and see.
The joy is already here. I can feel it. So here we go.
Let's do it.
I am Dan.
I'm Shush, and today we have
Britteny Ling.
Hey, Brett.
We're
Hey.
Britt.
I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so
We're
excited to have you.
Yeah.
Britt, you're a part of. You work with me and Shush.
Yes, I'm on your team.
So this
So
is
good.
quite familiar to us to be on like a Zoom screen together, but lovely to have
family.
you here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us the time.
My
We appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Hey.
Hey.
So, the first thing we like to do, Britt, is just get to know you a little bit. And the way we get to know you is by asking you really silly questions that no one else would.
Sure.
So, we're going to get started with this. I want you to just give the first answer that comes to your head. You don't need to think about it. Doesn't need to be in depth. We're not holding you to it, but
Yep, sure.
we're
Yep.
going to ask you some silly questions. So, here we go. Fast five. It's a 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 fast five.
I'm going to start. Britt, you knit and crochet. What's the thing you're most proud of that you've made?
Ooh, a jumper. My
Oh.
first jumper. Yep, took
Ki-
40 hours of work on it. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Wow.
No wonder you're proud. I'm proud of you. That's
Now, this
very
is-
cool.
This is supposed to be fast, but can you dive into that jumper? Like, is it a colourful jumper? What are we talking?
Yeah, so I used two different colour yarns. One's a dark green and the other one's like a multiple colours, so it varies as you go. So I was trying out a new stitch with it, and I ended up giving it to one of my best friends for her 30th birthday. So I
Cute.
really love it. She sends me pictures of it. She and her classroom loves it too. So yeah, I'm really, really proud of that one.
That's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
That's
All
very
right.
cool.
Now, Britt, we know you, as we said, we're in team meetings all the time. We're always over Zoom. I know that you don't mind to joke around a little bit. You're a bit of fun. What is the best joke that you can tell off by heart?
Oh, best joke, and you don't want me to think about it.
You can think about it. You can think
You
about
can
it.
think about it a little bit.
I'll tell you a joke from one of my favourite comedians, Milton Jones. My grandfather, he says, back in my day, you used to be able to leave your back door open, which is probably why his submarine sank.
Hey, that's good. That's good. That's
like that.
That's a bit of a dad joke
Yeah.
in a good way. In a
Yeah.
good way.
So good though.
Yeah, I
oh,
like
that
that
was
one.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Question 3. That's
Yep.
what we're up to. Question 3.
Yes.
What is, I know we can't travel at the moment, but what's your favourite seat on an aeroplane?
Oh, good question.
Thank you.
If it's a short haul, I like the aisle seat, so that I can get up first. I'm one of those people who does like to get up as soon as the seatbelt sign turns off.
Oh.
But if it's a long haul, I prefer a window seat, or I prefer a window seat on a long haul flight so I can sleep. I sleep really well on planes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a gift. What a blessing.
Yeah, that is. That really is.
I mean, I do too, but like seriously, I know a lot
Yeah.
of people who don't.
yeah, me too. But it is a blessing.
It is very helpful. Very,
all right.
very good.
Britt, what was your favourite movie as a child? Do you have like a favourite Disney movie?
A favourite Disney movie as a child? This is going to sound a bit weird, but Gladiator was one of my favourites, which is not a Disney movie. I know that. And I don't know why it was my favourite, but I just always loved it. So-
Wait, like Russell Crowe Gladiator?
Yeah, Russell Crowe Gladiator, and I think it's the Marcus Aurelius Decimus,
Yes.
whatever. I think it was
Wow.
that whole thing, and it's become a bit of a meme now. So I'm
Yeah.
that was my favourite, and I can't tell you why. Just always enjoyed it.
I was not expecting
okay.
that. That is great. I love that.
I only watched it at the age of 15. Just my parents were responsible parents.
Okay,
just letting
yes,
you know.
yes, of course. Just a proviso there.
Yeah.
This is why we love the Fast Five. We
Yes.
learn all the good, important things. And
That's
we've been
right.
working together for ages. Look, we're still
Yeah, there
learning
you go.
things.
You've learned something new today.
We have.
Yeah.
All right. And for our fifth and final question, we have got a question from our 7 Days listeners. Listeners. I can't speak.
Listeners.
Listeners.
Yep.
Which is very exciting. So Jess writes in this. Hello. I've been an avid listener for 7 days.
We have another avid listener. That's
Another
great.
avid listener for 7
Excellent.
days.
Imagine that.
Imagine. I've been an avid listener for 7 days. So, what is your favourite Olympic or Paralympic sport?
Do you know what? Last night I was watching goalball. Have you seen goalball? It is
Goalball?
fantastic. And I was watching it with my housemate and I went, we have to bring this to the creative arts camp. We have to bring this to NCAC and every other camp since, like in the future. Seriously. So it's a Paralympic sport. It is specific to the Paralympics. And basically, it's for the vision impaired. So how they play, everybody wears a blinder. And it's played on a volleyball court with like soccer goals on either end. And three team members aside, and the ball is kind of heavy, but it has these ball bearings in it. So you hear this shh sound. Yeah, so it's got, the ball has these ball bearings, makes the shh sound. And if you're on the defending side, you have to start in a crouch position and hear the ball being thrown to try and stop it getting into the goal.
Whoa.
And the attacking team can throw it from a standing position. And I was watching it going, wow, this is amazing. And they're all blind when they play.
Yeah. Wow,
Goal-
that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's like, that is, so they're throwing it though, like they're using their hands? 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
they're
like
throwing
blind
it.
soccer. You know, like blind soccer's a thing too. So it's the same
Right.
thing, like the ball makes a sound, and
Yep.
these people are vision impaired, they're also wearing like blinders, and
Yep.
they're playing soccer. Because they can hear where the
Wow.
ball is. But wait, here's the kicker. Now, we might need to fact check this.
kicker?
But, yeah, the kicker. I believe that the goalies can see.
Oh.
Right.
So how, like, you would immediately be like, that's unfair. But they still score against these goalies. That's
Right.
Wow.
craziness.
That's
crazy.
incredible. I would like to find out about that. But
Yes,
yeah,
we
goalball,
might, yeah.
everybody. So yeah,
Oh.
there's three people aside on the field, and they're all blinded. So I
Wow.
was just like, wow, that's incredible. I actually wanted to give it a go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Super Olympics they are. The
Yeah.
Paralympics.
Yeah.
Great
Super
question. Great question by Jess.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Jess.
sending. And if you have a question you want to be included in the Fast Five, please DM us or email us or something. We want to get all your questions if there are any avid listeners out there.
Yeah, only if you're an avid listener, obviously,
Only.
because that's the trend so
Only.
far. Well, there you go, Britt, you survived. It's a
Excellent.
five, it's a... Now, Britt, the reason we have you here is because of a little program called Just Brass. Now,
Yes.
for those within the Salvo realm, you've probably heard of this name before. What we are asking, first and foremost, what's the origin of Just Brass? What is this thing? That if so, for someone listening that's never heard of it, or someone who has heard of it but doesn't know what it is, what is it? Where's it come from? And then we'll dive in from there. So I know that's a very broad question, but answer it the best you can.
Brilliant, yes. So Just Brass is a instrumental music program. We go into primary schools that don't have music education primarily, and most of those schools are on the considered low socioeconomic. So where students or families can't afford music lessons, that's where we kind of aim. Because what we know is that a lot of people who get to learn an instrument growing up, it's because their parents can afford to give them lessons, and the kids that can't afford it miss out. So that's primarily where we put our focus, and it came out of the Geelong region and the South Barwon Corps, where I currently soldier. And so John and David Collinson, brothers, and a few other people in the Corps band and the Corps leadership, they saw a need in the Geelong area that there was a lot of kids not getting access to music and access to instruments. So they said, we've got 30 instruments sitting in the cupboard, our band is getting older, and we've got teachers here. Why don't we do what we do best and teach kids how to play? So that's where it started. It started as a community music program. They put a ad into the local newspaper asking for parents' interest in learning an instrument for their child. And with 30 instruments, they had 35 kids show up. So immediately they had to say, "Oh, does anyone have instruments that we can beg, borrow, steal?" Maybe not steal. We're but so they had to get more instruments right away, and they went, we're onto something here. So very soon, one of the schools got in touch and said, we need you here. So a fund came along called the Song Room, who first initially paid for the first lessons in school at Whittington Primary School, and then shortly after a second school, and it grew. Other corps saw what South Barwon was doing and said, that's a great idea, we want to be able to give music to kids. So that's where it started. And that's always been the primary aspect of Just Brass, is giving kids a chance to hold an instrument in their hand.
Yeah, that's very cool. And what has it grown to now? So that's where it started. What does Just Brass look like now?
It's absolutely taken off. So there's more than 30 programs going at the moment. So if you imagine that each of those programs has 2 or 3 schools in it, and then other. So for example, South Barwon is working in 2 schools at the moment, and then but we have a lot of kids in the corps as well who are learning an instrument. And also, it reaches far greater than just the schools that we work in. So students will graduate into high school, for example, and they come back. They keep coming, and they become our future leaders. So, and cool. there's other programs that are doing this even on an even bigger scale. So they've got 3 bands running. They're in 3 or 4 primary schools, but they represent about 20 different schools with the number of kids who've gone to high school. And we've seen a lot of those kids come to some of our camps and music camps and that kind of thing. And also coming along to youth group. We've even got families who've become soldiers in the army and that kind of thing. It's just absolutely blown up. So, and that's amazing. Yeah, so there's a few programs in New Zealand and in the UK as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We're headed over the waters.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
So what's it been, like 10 years?
This year will be year 12. I want to say, year 11. This year will be year 11. Last year was supposed to be year 10.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, so just the concept of, so you're tying in with local schools, bringing them to the local corps to facilitate the learning. So the physical location is within corps around the place that are adopting the program. Is that generally?
It's actually a bit mixed, you see.
Okay.
Most programs. So, for example, a program will go to the school and provide lessons in school during the school day. So they actually have about 20 students in the school that come out for their half-hour lessons in pairs. And then after school, they all get on a bus and come to the army where we do band practice. And so that's when we include all the students from the different schools and all the high schoolers, all that kind of thing. So there's an afternoon tea. Someone's got to cut up all that fruit and pour some cordial, salvo strength, of course. And that's a joke for our anyway. There's a bit of a snack. The kids see each other, and then we set up the instruments, and off we go doing band practice. Have a little devotion in the middle, and then either the students are taken back to school for parents to pick them up, or the parents come to the army to take their kids home.
Yeah, nice.
Now, we're probably going to touch on this more. We've got a second half of what this podcast kind of is, where we're probably going to touch a little bit more on this. But first, who are you to Just Brass? We haven't even really touched on that. So
you'll have to edit this one to come in earlier, won't you?
Yeah. So, like, who are you to Just Brass? What's your role with it? And then I guess from like a macro perspective, like, you touched on the fact that there's devotions that are done in these practices, that you've seen people starting to come to youth. Just the link between the community and the church community as well with this. Like what have you seen are some big wins on that big macro perspective? Because we're going to go a little bit more local in our second part.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah. So who are you to Just Brass, and what's some big macro wins that you've seen?
So my job title is the Territorial Just Brass Consultant. Can I try that again? Because
yes.
You sure can.
I think my R's became W's there. Anyway, my job title is the Territorial Just Brass Consultant. So my job is to look after Corps who are interested in Just Brass, who are currently running Just Brass, as well as training and providing opportunities for leaders and that kind of thing to expand their skills. So that's what I do. I also have a little bit to do with the overseas programs, just checking in and making sure they've got everything they need. So that's my broad blanket, I suppose.
That's the cred. That gives you the cred to actually speak to this. We started diving into everything and we didn't actually say who you were. So now we know it. Perfect.
I'm just an interested party. No. So so I actually came to Just Brass a couple of years in. So I think I actually joined the team in the third year that Just Brass was running at South Barwon. And it's quite an interesting story, I think, because it was I was at a different corps, and everything was kind of wrapped up and I was very comfortable, you know, and I actually had a junior band running at the time, and God said, you need to get ready to move. And like quite obviously, he was like, you need to get ready to move. And I went to Future Brass that year. I'd met John Collinson properly. And I said, I'm actually interested in joining the staff band, and I want lessons. And he said, actually, I can give you some work if you want to teach some kids in this program I've got running called Just Brass. So I started coming down, and then he said, he sent me an email after I talked to my mentor at my corps. Like, I think God's telling me to move. And John sends me an email that night saying, I don't usually do this, but I think God's telling me that you need to move down here. And I went, that's it, that sold it. I looked for a place to live. I had one within a week, moved down there, and, you know, that's history.
Wow.
Classic God. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, that sounds like God, don't you reckon?
Yeah, it's
Where
just
you're
crazy.
like, I've got this calling and I've been pretty comfortable, so it probably checks out. And then like boom, 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 boom.
It
like,
all
just lines
It
up.
all just came together. So I moved down there. I started teaching for the program, doing some other teaching, and eventually I ended up becoming the coordinator for the South Barwon program. And then this national role came up where I would assist John in helping to set up Just Brass programs across Australia, and eventually he stepped out of that role, and I took over.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We love that you did.
Yes.
So here
We
I
love
am.
that you're here and we get to work with you.
It's
It's
been
awesome.
history ever since.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So, yeah, can you speak to kind of that macro perspective of some kind of tie-in, community, church, some positives that you've seen from it? Even just the growth, it sounds like, from when you first started to where you are now is obviously like, that's a huge win, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, even if you're just speaking to that, like just to hear that from you would be great.
Yeah, so remembering that, you know, the goal was to give kids an opportunity, and so I see that being one of the big wins for us is giving kids an instrument, and everything that came out from that in terms of our relationship building and faith pathways is really down to the leaders that we have, and we've seen a lot of successes and a lot of great stories come out of this. Like you should hear some of the stories out of New Zealand, particularly after the earthquakes, where this kid wasn't talking at all, and on the Just Brass bus, he spoke for the first time. After a number of, after quite a while of not speaking, and he talked to his Just Brass teacher, that's a win.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you've got other families where they've come to the army, and like I remember this quite vividly. A parent and I was taking these kids on a little weekend trip, And the mum says, "Are we allowed to come here? Are we allowed to come to church here?" And I said, "Absolutely you are. Like you are welcome." And so they started coming to church. They made that faith choice and then got enrolled as an adherent and later as a soldier. And there's been a few of those as well. So, there's just a few points, but they make me really passionate about what we do, why we do what we do, because it's not just the kids. As you know, we're seeing kids come to youth group once they hit that age, and we want to see them more often. Like these kids are brilliant, and if you give them a chance and you give them opportunity, they're going to thrive and they're going to take it. And I just think, we've got to keep doing that.
Yeah.
So.
That's so cool about can I come here? Like I think that's beautiful, right? Because it's built on relationship, right? And I think so much of faith and discipleship and sharing your faith is relationship. I mean, that's how Jesus did it, right? Like when he was discipling people, it's all relationship. And so it totally checks out here that through Just Brass, you're able to build relationships with the kids, but also with the parents and with anybody kind of associate it. You're able to build relationships, and from there, develop friendships and perhaps be able to share your faith or be able to go through questions or whatever. And that's really cool that this tool of Just Brass, this tool of teaching kids how to play, is actually providing the platform to be able to then have these other conversations and allow God to move in that faith way and be able to share the gospel. It's really cool.
Can I say, for anyone out there who's thinking about a Just Brass program or something similar to this effect, you've got to put in the time. And I don't just mean the time of the afternoon band practice. I mean the years. Right? It's a long-term commitment. It's a long-term relationship. It's not about they'll come to Just Brass and then in a year they'll come to youth group and then they're all saved. No, it takes time. Like some of the best stories I have been from families who've been in the program 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, that kind of thing. And some of them are from 1 year, but you've got to be committed to the long haul. And that's true of every relationship, I think.
Agreed. Yep. I think that's true of just evangelism in general, right? I think we do just think there's some kind of weird one sentence you could say and then everyone signs up to this Christian thing. It's actually no, it's the hard work relationship, but it's genuine relationship, right?
100%.
And that's what we're hearing. Like a kid that's gone through trauma, or like a kid that's not talking, that relies on, actually chooses his Just Brass leader as the person that he trusts the most. I don't know if it's he or she. Sorry, I said he, but to actually use that person as someone they trust. It's a genuine relationship. This is who I choose to speak to first. Like that's impacting. And like Shush said it great. It was exactly what I was going to say. It's like the instruments are the vessel to build the relationships with the kids. And I think that's great. And I think we need more of it. To be honest, so
and it's not about making people projects either. Like I was having a discussion with a friend the other day about this, about how it's not. You're not trying to make people a project of I'm gonna try and get you saved, because number one, we can't do any saving. That's all God. We're just here to share the good news. That's our part, But it's just loving people, right? Which is totally what you do in Just Brass, is just loving on people, and from there just being, as Dan said, authentic relationships, just being yourself and creating a relationship, and then taking the opportunities that God does provide to share your faith, right? You can't just sit back and do nothing. There's a time and a place where God opens that door and goes, hey, here you go, share. But it's loving people, it's relationships. It's great.
That's it. And Kylie Collinson, wife of David Collinson, so they were the officers at the time when Just Brass started at South Barwon. They spoke last year at our conference, at the Just Brass conference, to this effect. And they said exactly what you just said, where they didn't set out to make people projects. We didn't think of them that way. It was creating the relationship and the safe space to be evangelists and be the people that those people needed.
Yeah. And it's such a good example of just using what you know as well, and the skills that you have, right? I'm just thinking if we've got someone listening who might not be an instrument person, right? They might be a drama person. you can use that skill to build relationships with people, and this is a great example of that. And the focus is always on loving these people, and you can only love people if you're focused on God, because there are people that are hard to love, right?
That's it.
So you definitely need the Holy Spirit to help you in loving these people, and yeah, it's like it's like using your gifts, but still putting yourself to the side for the greater good of what this kingdom is. So, no, I think that's great, and that's something that we should be trying to push in all areas around the place. Yeah. So I think you guys do great work.
I got a question for you, Brett.
Go for it.
Okay, well, actually, do arts play a part in mission? And what part does creative arts play in mission in terms of like reaching out to the community, in terms of sharing the good news, mission, right? In the biggest sense of the word. Do the arts have a part to play? And if so, what's that part?
Yeah, I remember reading a little article where someone asked this of maybe Sydney Cox or something like that. And the young person says, why would we let go of the best communication tool we have for the secular world, right? When it comes to arts. And it switched the light bulb on for me, yes, arts plays an incredible role. It is not the only thing that we use, of course, but how do I put this? Our God is a creator God, right? Yeah. And he gave us music. When the angels are praising him, they sing, they play the trumpets. Why wouldn't God want music and creativity and the creative arts to be something that we use for other people and for his glory? If he didn't give it to us, I just think it's a no-brainer for me to say that the creative arts are something that we use in the wider mission field. Also because everybody can have access to music. Everybody can have access to drama. Everyone can have access to art in any form, and they're all tools that we can use to communicate, to express, and to praise and to worship. Why would you say that anything is not anything creative is not of God? He gave it to us. So us using it for his glory and for his purpose, the outpouring of that is his love for us that we then give to other people. So it's a tool that we can use to connect, and that connection is real and that's what we can build relationship on.
Yeah, and it's the intentionality, right?
Yeah.
Like it's actually like being intentional around using this as something, not making that the thing that we do, but using it to evolve others. Evolve others? That's probably the wrong word. To branch out to others in the community, right? Like it's
it's the method.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's the method, not the message, right? It's the vehicle we take, but it's not the message we're giving.
That's it. Yeah. And if your heart is in an attitude of worship, which is to bow down, like if you're constantly in that position of everything I do is because I give it to God first, and God gave me this gift to give it to other people. That's your why. That's who we are. We're servants of God. Right, we're children of God, created by him to do good works, to do his works. And if that's your focus, everything you do is the outpouring of that. So whatever gifts you're given, you've got to use that for others, because you use it for God.
Yeah. That's very well put.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, as you were speaking, the other thing I thought of was like Jesus used parables, right? He used stories. He used creativity to share his message with people who hadn't heard it yet, right? So if Jesus did it, it's good enough for me, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean?
And I love that Jesus, even after some of the parables to his disciples, says, the understanding is given to you. And then he explains it to them. And the benefit of having scripture and having the Bible that we have now and having a personal relationship with Jesus is that he can actually explain everything. Like it's not it's not as big a mystery. Like, some things are a
Yeah.
mystery. Like, we'll never understand the scope of who God is, but also you can know him better every day. I just think, anyway, I love it.
The complexities of God, they're all great, aren't they? And basically, Shush, what I picked up from what you were saying is we need to start a program called Just Parables, where we go
Done.
into schools
Done.
and get
Please,
kids to
let's do it.
some parables.
Love it.
Thank you so much for your time, Britt. I think that was great. To be completely honest, I don't even think we need to expand anymore, because I think we'll start getting into even more complexities of God, and then we'll go on some crazy tangent. And
That's a different podcast.
Becomes a whole different podcast.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I just want to say, I just want to give you honour for what you do. As I said, we work with you. We know you pretty well now, even though we've only been in the same room once since we got these jobs. But your heart shows in what you do. Like, even just speaking to you now, like, you have joy about what you're speaking about, and you're saying that there are moments that you have where you're just like, I just need to keep doing this, or I need to do this more. And so I just want to honor you for that, and being obedient and keeping God first, and also just making that move. Like, that's obedience to God. Like, that's pretty hard. Like, how old were you when you made that move? Sorry.
I was 20.
See, 20-year-olds, I was 20 once, and I was scared of everything. So well done for making a move. But you need to act on that. We've spoken about this so many times on the podcast. Like, God can give you a prompting, but you still need to act, and you acted on that. So I just want to honor you for what you do. I think you're awesome. I think you're fun to be around too.
I appreciate it.
But thank you for being here.
No, all honor to God. So.
Oh, look at you. You're so
Look at that.
Aw. I'm going to throw honor your way too, Brie. Because I think sometimes when you sit in roles like you do, like we do, I think as awful as it is, things can become projects, right?
Yeah.
And programs can become projects. But in talking to you, apart from this and during this episode, these are not projects to you. These are people who and you love them, even you probably haven't even met half of them. As in, like, the kids, like, you probably haven't met them all, but like, your love for them comes through, and I just want to honor that you it's like the way Jesus sees people and loves them. I see that in you, in the sense of these are not just numbers or like places or just bands or whatever. These are people, these are children of God who he loves, and so you love, and that comes through really evident. So I just want to honor that and honor that, like, and just say that I see Jesus in you in so many ways, but I wanted to highlight that one.
Oh, I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is nice.
And now, a celebration story.
And we want to recognize and throw honor.
Yeah.
Because we want to share them on the podcast. Woo! If you have celebration stories, reach out to us.
We will honor it all.
So we're back with some more celebration stories. If you're not caught up, this is a segment where we just throw some honor, throw some encouragement at people at a local level in the Salvos in Australia who are doing awesome things. So Dan, who are we honouring and encouraging today?
Oh, we have a good one today, Shush.
Yeah.
I was emailed by Corps officer Chris Clark at Marion Corps in South Australia.
Very cool.
And he has written, Eli Sudrin operates our sound desk. Because our worship space is a multi-use space, each week our sound equipment has to be set up and packed away. He does all of this without complaining and ensures we have what we need to operate our 2 worship services and rehearsals.
Oh.
He is there early on Sunday to ensure everything operates smoothly. And guess what, Shush?
What?
All this at only age 17.
What?
And he has been doing it now for a number of years, which means he started 15, 14.
Yeah.
So Eli Sudrin from Marion Corps.
Eli!
You are an absolute legend.
Yes.
We want to honour you. We want to honour your heart and your commitment.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being there early on Sundays and helping set up. Without you, Sundays do not run the way they do. So thank you so much for what you do. We honour you.
Yeah.
And you're just a good guy. I've met you before. You're a good guy.
Thanks, Eli. Thanks for enabling the people of God to meet together and worship, you legend.
All right.
Well, welcome back.
Part 2, Shush.
Part two.
Welcome back, 7 Days listeners. Obviously, we just spoke to Britt, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm going to reintroduce myself. I am Dan.
I'm still Shush.
Yes.
And today we have...
Stuart Lees.
Yay! So, Stewie, I'm going to call you, if that's okay, because you called yourself that, so I seek that as permission. Can you tell us a bit about who you are, what you do with Just Brass, and I guess that will inform people why you're kind of here. So, go for it.
Yeah, look, I left school at 16 and joined the military. I joined the Australian Army Band Corps as a musician, and I've been a professional musician since I was 16. I've had a charmed career going through teaching, touring as a rock and roll drummer. Great teachers, great experiences. I ended up playing with people and in situations that I really shouldn't have. It just seems that God placed me right along, even to the point of taking me out of the army for a little while to learn my trade.
Yeah, right.
And then plonked me straight back in, where he knew that I could be of most value to the kingdom, I guess. I feel very close to God all the time, especially through music. And it is part of that God thing, if you like, and being placed by him, that I've had those experiences and those teachers. And so it's a give back thing for me, like a pay it forward stuff, if you like. So that at the minute I'm the bandmaster at Preston Corps. We have a band of nearly 30 strong in this day and age. Is very not the norm for and they're a very good standard band, and I love the guys and I love standing in front of them, and I miss it greatly. Not just the music, but their comradeship too. And when I say guys, I mean girls as well. So I call everybody guys when they're in a group. And part of that giving back when the army and John and Dave Collinson came up with the Just Brass idea, I was sort of right on board with it. And it took me a while to organise things where I could free myself up to do some teaching. But when I did, it was great. And look, it hasn't been easy. But if I can be the positive male influence in some kid's life for even an hour a week, then it's worthwhile. So that I guess that's the long and the short answer. It's good experiences, being the right place, the right time through God's placement, and wanting to give that back.
Yeah. I love that. I love hearing people's stories generally. Yes. Whenever anyone shares something, oh, that's really cool. But it's awesome to hear how God has placed you at just the right time, right? In the right place at the right time. And you've been able to use your gifts for his kingdom is always such a beautiful thing. It's not always a positive thing. I've gone through a marriage breakdown and trying to reconnect with my kids and all that sort of stuff. So it's not... It's not as when you become saved, God promises you life abundant, and life abundant means lows and highs. Yeah. And you've just got to stay faithful through it all. Yeah.
And praise God, I've been able to.
Yeah, it's quite inspirational, really. Because I guess. We've already spoken to Britt about this overarching theme of what Just Brass is, right? And it's kind of easy to look at these things as like a program or like a business venture of some sort, right? You can easily frame it into that. But then that's why we want to chat to you, because it's given us this local perspective and a human perspective on what Just Brass is. And this is like like, I think everyone does have a story. Shush just mentioned, we love hearing people's story, and to know how God has put these building blocks in order for such a long time before Just Brass even existed. It's actually quite inspirational and pretty crazy to think that, you know, he's 400 steps ahead of us, right? And just hearing your story as slight as short as that was, like, I can already gather, like, that you're going to be impactful in your job because of the experiences you've had. Like, I know you touched on all of the teaching that you had, the teachers that helped you along the way, and now to actually be able to impart that into the youth today, that's great. So it's really inspiring to hear that from that local context.
Yeah, and I think if I'd have come into this earlier, I wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I've got 3 schools that I facilitate, and they're very low socioeconomic schools, very, very poor. One school that I teach on behalf of the Sunshine Corps is St Ormond's Primary School. There's 53 languages spoken in that school.
Wow.
English isn't necessarily one of them. You know, most of the interaction between me and parents is via the kids translating. So stuff gets lost. You know, through this COVID time, we spent a lot of time doing some remote teaching. Remote teaching of brass instruments doesn't work. I'm sorry, I will disagree with everybody who says it does. It doesn't work. But that weekly contact with the kid, with the child, the student, whatever you want to call them, is invaluable. You know, just being able to see them and say, "Hey, mate, you okay? You know, can we help you with anything? Can we get anything to you?" And then, you know, what are you doing? What are you playing? Can you play me something? Yeah, it's going into a school and just being a positive for these kids. And in all 3 schools that I teach at, one's a country school, but doesn't differ a lot from the city. It's the same. The kids just need that constant. In some cases, I'm the only male that these kids have contact with during the week.
Yeah, I've got a question for you. And you've touched on it a little bit, but I guess I'm going to ask it more directly. But in the sense of, why are you involved in Just Brass? Why do you do what you do with Just Brass? What is the motivator behind turning up every week in COVID, jumping on those Zoom lessons when it's really hard? What is motivating you? Why do you do what you do?
Going into and talking to even just a couple of kids in a classroom, you can see over a number of weeks that their mood changes. And it lightens and it lifts. You know, one of my, at the school I was talking about, I had a little Indian girl and a Pakistani girl. And every time they came in, they tell me, because they knew I like to cook, they give me a recipe.
Oh, cool.
And so when we had the downtime, we'd put the instruments down while they had a rest, and we'd talk food. Their cuisine, you know, Indian or Pakistani food, and it was great. And at this school, the mums get together and have or they used to before COVID, had this community lunch where they'd cook all their cuisines from different parts of the world. It's fantastic. Really good. It's all about community. You know.
Absolutely.
And the Just Brass going into these schools is adding another aspect to that community.
So, just as an overview, you're in 3 schools and you take the program into those 3 schools yourself. You're running the program yourself.
I run on behalf of 3 corps. So, Sunshine, Preston, and Castlemaine.
Oh, cool.
And the way it works is there are a number of volunteers from each of the corps. And so, because the way that Just Brass was set up was that we bus the kids into the local corps for a band rehearsal. in these 3 schools, that doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because parents don't drive or they're working and they can't pick the kids up at the end of the day, and it's just too hard for us to get them back and get them home and stuff. So it doesn't work. So what happens is that the volunteer from the Corps that I'm working for, or the volunteers, bring in afternoon tea.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
at the end of the school day, the kids will come back to the room that we rehearse in and are met by a couple of the volunteers that they get to know as well.
Yep.
It's very very friendly and sociable, and then we give them afternoon tea. We try to be healthy, fruit and water and stuff like that, but they do love curried egg sandwiches and stuff like that. So, stuff that I guess they don't get at home. Cabana and all that sort of stuff, cheese, and so that's the social side of it. And then we try to settle them down to have 40 minutes of good band rehearsal. And it's really just teaching the basics of good rehearsal technique, getting them to breathe together, to produce the first note together, cut off together. And we play some games, some time games, and things like that. So it's all a bit of fun, and out of the ordinary from their normal day.
Yeah.
Right. So it's something just a little bit out of the ordinary.
So out of that then, like you've been doing it a little while now, do you have any kind of examples or stories that you've seen of like some big kingdom kind of wins in the relationships that you've had, or in just any of these schools, or any stories that come to mind that I guess we can share with our listeners?
Yeah, ways God has moved.
Yeah, ways God's moved through it.
I don't know if it's a kingdom win, but I think 2 years ago we actually got one of the groups into the carol service at one of the Corps. And the whole front row were in headdress. So obviously Muslim, and we were very careful, very respectful. We put the kids on first, or as close up to the start as we could, and then they left. Right, but they were there. I haven't seen that anywhere else. Even with the other program that I run, our Muslim friends are very, I don't know whether it's a concern or what about coming into a church. It has happened, but very, very rarely. And this day we had literally the whole front row of Muslim women, and it was really beautiful. And we were able to, although they left, but we were able to. They sort of stayed around outside, and we were able to have refreshments afterwards and chat and stuff like that. It was really good.
Yeah, well, it's making connections that are either hard to make or wouldn't be made before, right? So, yeah, I can understand the power of that.
Awesome. Well, Dan, do you have any more questions for Stu about?
No, I think that's pretty good, to be honest. Do you have anything, Shush?
No, I guess, no. we like to end our time by honouring the people. And I really want to honour you for all the work you've put in. My mum's a music teacher, my brother's a music teacher. Like I know how much work teachers put in. They put in a lot of work for, it's not just the lesson. There's like the before and the after, and there's a lot of work. So I just want to say thank you for all the work, and thank you for agreeing to come on this podcast and share so honestly with us, sharing the good things and the hard things. I really appreciate that kind of grounding to it. So thank you for that. And I just want to bless you and bless your ministry. I pray that God would continue to work in your life, continue to bless you and do amazing things in your life personally, but also through you and through your ministry. I pray that you would continue to be that shining light in these communities. You would be that positive male influence in these children and parents' life, and they would notice something different in you, and they would see Jesus in you.
Yeah. And I just want to honor you for your devotion as well. Like a big journey, like you were saying at the start, and even your devotion through. You talked about touring and being a part of like rock music and being subject to an environment that's probably not the healthiest for like a Christian person, but still keeping God at the center and still staying in touch with that, I think is really good and speaks into why you're doing what you're doing now. So I want to thank you and honor you for your devotion. I want to thank you for your patience and for your time. I mean, you're going to 3 different places. I know there's car travel in there. I thank you for those little trips that are annoying when the traffic's a bit busy, and like I thank you for that devotion to the kids and wanting to see kids transformed and form a relationship with these children. So thank you so much for what you do, even at a core level too. You're the bandmaster. You're devoting all this time in there. So thank you for what you do there too. I just want to honour you in that as well.
Yeah, thank you. Our best for the highest.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Good.
Wow.
Just
there
brass.
we go. Just brass.
We've learned
Interview
everything.
Over. We've learned it all. That was actually, I thought that was really good, Shush.
Yeah.
It was good to be able to hear the perspective of kind of the organisational perspective and kind of the head honcho of Brit sitting in there and giving us kind of what the vision is of this thing, and then actually being able to talk to Stewie that's on the ground actively pushing this thing and actively involved in these relationships. Not that Brit's not, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's good. Gives us a good perspective of something that, even though it's a part of our team, I didn't know heaps and heaps about. So it's good to kind of sum that up.
Yeah, exactly. I really appreciated the various stories, the various perspectives, and the honesty they brought, right? Like, to hear about a program, I guess, not just in theory, but I guess the kind of standard, like, hey, this is what it is, this is how it works, you know, just the kind of, stock standard about what you would like read on a website, but then also to hear it in practice and like, well, this is how it works, and this is what's hard, and this is what, you know, the good and the bad and the ugly and everything in between. Was really nice to hear all that put together in one episode, you know? So
absolutely.
I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed chatting to Britt and Stewie. Yeah,
absolutely. So, seeing as though this is the outro, Shush.
Yes.
If you liked what you heard,
Yeah.
or you think that someone who needs to hear this, or maybe you have your local corps, you're like, let's get in on this Just Brass thing.
Mm-hmm.
What can people do
Yep.
to interact with us and make sure they don't miss other episodes and share, you know, all the above?
I got you. So if you're interested in Just Brass specifically, you can go to their website, which we'll put in the description in the show notes. And you can get in contact with them there if you want to learn more about the program or potentially interested in starting it or whatever. You can check them out on their website or on their Facebook as well. Also, if you liked this episode and you want to listen more, if this is your first time, first of all, welcome, which is a weird thing to say at the end of the episode.
Welcome.
But we would love to have you each week or each fortnight where we chat to creative people about, you know, how their craft is impacting the kingdom. So if you want to listen to that each fortnight, you just need to subscribe on whatever platform you're using. And by clicking the subscribe button, you'll get notified of when each episode comes out. But also check us out on Facebook and Instagram on worshiparts.salvos.au. And if you have a Fast 5 question to contribute, if you have a celebration story, email us, message us. If you just want some encouragement, message us.
If you just want to chat, message us.
If you're in lockdown and you're bored, message us. Whatever it is, we want to hang out, right? And so get in contact. But yeah, or share the podcast is the other thing. I probably should have added that in earlier. If you like it and you think it's worth listening to, share it around.
Share it.